if you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon. Stay tuned for our launch date.
We are extremely grateful for the support of visitsimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the Prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the Prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimiValley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
Hello again, my lovely, lovely bonnet heads. How are you? I'm Pamela Bob, your host, creator of Living on a Prairie. And, it's been a kooky week or two. I am here with our wonderful, beloved, under the weather prairie bitch, Alison Arngrim. We're going to be gentle with her today. Hi, Alison. Oh, poor thing. And also here with my hashtag imaginary boyfriend. That's right, Dean Butler. How are you guys? What a week or two we've had.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I'm sorry you missed it all, Pamela.
I know. Between you and me, I was sort of told to stay away. So I ended up staying away.
Yeah, and Alison, you are recovering.
I am recovering somewhat. I got really tired. I heard remarks about you having bloodshot eyes by the end of it. I did not feel all well. A couple of people got sick. I think Pam caught something. Pam was off. Yeah. We were all like, okay, it's not COVID. We've already had tests. But yeah, I was really sick and really, really tired. I was in bed for a couple of days. And I'm up and around now, but I just now kind of went, I feel so good. So I'll probably go back to bed after this. I don't know.
That's great. I think you should.
We're a wreck.
We are a wreck. But we're here to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
So this show is dropping on the 12th. You're seeing this on the 12th. Yesterday, but we're recording it on the 11th. So this is our recording day is the actual day of the Little House on the Prairie premiere on NBC. It's a very big day for bonnet heads everywhere.
It truly
it's the
is.
day. It is literally 50 years ago today.
Yes, today. It began.
I mean, your life didn't get flipped upside down, and mine actually, it's a week later. It's the 18th.
Yes, no, we're going to talk about that next week.
Went to hell in a handcart. But you, did you even know this was like happening?
No, I hadn't. I really didn't. I had just started my. Before we do that, I want to stay in order here. We need to make a little quick statement. We need to share a quick statement. We need to acknowledge that a bump in the road that Little House fans experienced last weekend in Farmington, Connecticut and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There are lots of comments and questions about what happened. So we really don't feel like we want to speak in sort of direct terms about all of this, just because I think there are a lot of moving parts to it. Yeah. Here's a statement that our cast posted on Monday morning, September 9th, 2024, and Pamela will read the statement.
Okay, here's the statement. The cast of Little House on the Prairie is devoted to the generations of fans who, for half a century, have loved and honored the show's stature as one of the most beloved family dramas in television history. We empathize with Prairie fans who are disappointed by the lack of organization and poor execution at recent events in Farmington, Connecticut and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We are deeply moved by the hundreds of comments expressing support for our decision to make no further appearances for the promoter of those events. For those inquiring about refunds for Farmington, Lancaster, and now canceled Little House on the Prairie events in Lyles, Tennessee, Keystone, South Dakota, Branson, Missouri, or Corsicana, Texas, we suggest contacting the entity from which you purchased your tickets. As a new half century of Little House love begins in 2025, stay tuned for updates about all new Little House on the Prairie fan events for bonnet heads everywhere. Little House forever. 2025 is going to be a great freaking year.
It is. I mean, we've loved you guys for 50 years. And the love we have seen on the internet, as well as the love we've seen at all the events, has just been, well, as I said when we spoke at that one dinner, it blows our minds. We're just so grateful to all of you. We're floored. There are other events. You have other events. I have other events. There will be other Prairie events. There are other events. Don't panic. You will see us. You will meet us in person again. That will absolutely happen. And it's just, I'm going to a thing in Salt Lake City, FanX. It's going to be lovely. And that's just it. We're seeing all
FanX is huge.
That's what I'm told. Okay, so I did Fanboy, and I thought it was huge. And I said, "Is this as big a fan?" They said, "No, it's 3 times the size of Fanboy." Yeah. And I went, "How is that humanly possible?"
Is that possible? Yeah.
But see, this is the thing, because I see all the questions on Facebook. Like I said, eventually all of the questions will be answered somehow. Yeah. But when I go
we are seeing all of your questions.
We know.
Guys.
We know.
We know.
But I'm going to an autograph show and going there. I have absolutely no input or say, neither do any of the other actors at that show, or how many staff they have, how many volunteers they have, how many parking they have. They don't ask us. I could say you should put this in another room. They're going to know we're putting it in this room. We as actors sign on to these things, and we're basically told, here's a plane ticket, your hotel, show up. And we do. And go, well, this will go well. And 99% of the time it does.
It does, yeah.
And then
generally does.
Sometimes it doesn't. And here we are.
Right. So so that statement is where we are on this right now. And we ask you to be accepting of that statement for right now. With you need to know that, as Alison suggested, we do know what people who were there experienced, because we experienced it too. We empathize totally with all of that. So we are moving forward, and thank you very much for understanding of our desire to move forward. And it's all motivated really by the love and the warmth and the arms around us vibe that we have experienced forever. We have the most amazing group of people who love this program, and we want them to have absolutely the best experience possible. That's where we are on all of this. So we are moving on. But let's talk about Patreon. I'm just going to.
We have Patreon. We have a thing. We have Patreon. We don't have OnlyFans. Just to make that clear, we don't have OnlyFans, but you can sign up for our
Speak
Patreon.
For yourself,
We're
Alison.
not doing that. Is that what you're doing over there in New York? If he opened an OnlyFans, So many people would sign up, but we're not going to do that to him. So yes, it's our 50 podcast Patreon site. What are we? We're past 250 people.
Yeah.
We're way past 250 people.
Yeah.
And yes, we're going to have a live Patreon Q&A, and that's tonight. We're doing.
Well, actually, to be really accurate, it was last night.
It was last night. Well, if you're watching this now,
last night.
it
If
was
you're
last
watching this
night.
now, but
I hope
those
it
of
went
you who
well.
yes, and for those of you who were on it, you're knowing it. It's a little confusing with record dates and actual recording. Record dates and drop dates. But Pamela,
we're going
can
live
you explain,
last night.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
It went great.
It was fabulous.
No, of course. So we're recording today on September 11th. The live Q&A on Patreon is tonight, September 11th, which means tomorrow when this drops, it will have already happened. However, don't worry. If you missed the Q&A, it is going to be recorded and posted on Patreon, so you can check it out on Patreon.
Today is tomorrow, and when is yesterday?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then,
go on.
No, go ahead. And
go
Pamela,
on.
then we have the wonderful special that Cozy TV did. Maybe
Whoa,
you could,
dude.
talk about that
You
for a
guys,
second.
the Cozy TV premiered the Loving Little House, the 50th anniversary special on the 7th. And my, what a great, fabulous job they did. I cried from beginning to end. I loved the footage that they captured from Simi. I loved the clips that they chose to play. I thought it was so well done. And also, I popped up in it, which was pretty cool.
Well, you were there. You're a part of the circus.
I was not expecting it. What did you guys think? I thought it was so well done.
Well, this producer and he was obviously on with us, Cody Broadway, who really ran that project. I think he did do a terrific job. There was so much to see, so much to capture. He's managed to be everywhere all at once, all the time. And to quote a movie that's unintelligible to me. But anyway.
Everything everywhere all the time.
But he did manage to be in all these places and capture this and touched a lot of different people and fans and the beauty of it. I was watching some of the footage from it. The event was that event last March was so extraordinary and a beautiful way to kick off our 50th anniversary year. So it airs one more time on September
25th.
On September 25th.
Okay, good.
That's correct.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
At 12 noon Eastern time is when it will air for the final time. And this is all. It's not. If you have TiVo, if you can record it off the air, that's what you need to do, because this is not going to be around.
Does TiVo exist anymore?
People have it. They have something else.
Are people able to record anymore? Maybe not.
I know they are.
No, you can record. It's just not called TiVo. It's called something else.
Something
now.
else. So that shows how far. That shows how far behind
At least
the
you didn't
technology
say
curve.
to put a tape in the VCR.
Yes.
I'll give you that one.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, it's like TiVo.
Yeah,
Did you see the magazine?
Yeah, thank you so much. Forget I said that. So, Pamela, let's take us into the show.
Yes.
I just also want to say last thing. I know I have a different setup today.
You look great.
Very pretty.
Thank you. I actually really love it, but it's because, like I was saying to you before we started recording, they found mold in my front wall of my apartment, and so gratefully they are knocking down the wall and getting rid of it and renovating it. And they decided to show up about an hour and a half ago. So I had to get out of my normal setting, come into my daughter's room, figure out a nice background, and here we are. Huzzah.
You are so adaptable, Pamela. Thank you for yes. Despite construction, you are there. You are here. We are doing this.
We don't hear banging and clanging from the other room.
Did you see the magazine, the Weird 50th? I don't know. Yeah, but who did it?
It's a company called Media 360. And they did an absolutely beautiful job.
Everything together, and I was kind of where did this come from? And it just appeared. We've ordered. Bob ordered like a dozen.
Oh, great!
No, I did. I was doing last week. We didn't have a podcast last week, but I did an Instagram Live, which was fabulous. People came on. They were asking awesome questions. It was so much fun. I had such a good time connecting with the fans. But someone was like, "Hey, did you see the magazine?" And I was like, "No idea what you're talking about. Not a clue." So that's how I found out about it.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm.
I think it's one of the most comprehensive total looks at what Little House was and the people. Not everybody is featured in the magazine. I'm very grateful that there are some nice articles. Alison's featured wonderfully in the magazine. But so many beautiful pictures from the series, and I just think their licensing had to be just huge.
Pamela's all over it.
To clear.
You're like in it like crazy.
To clear, just to clear all this. It was amazing.
Thanks to Steve Winshaw for taking those pictures of us, because they grabbed those pictures, really.
So take us into the show, Pamela.
Do it.
All right, everybody, from the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, me in the back room of my apartment in New York City. This is the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. All right, let's get right to the topic. Little House's 50th anniversary.
How is this?
What do you guys remember about anything? Where were you on September 11th, 1974?
I was starting my college career at University of the Pacific. I was in my freshman year. It was like the second week of school. No concept that this thing, Little House on the Prairie, existed at all. I wasn't aware of the pilot. I don't think I'd seen I know I hadn't seen the pilot. So I was completely oblivious. I'm not oblivious now, although it may seem like it sometimes, but I totally get it. Now, Alison, what about you? Where were you on September 11th,
Yeah, were you
1974?
Starting the 8th grade. I was excited. I was watching it because during that and during other NBC programming that week, they ran promos for my episode. And it's not like now where everything's coming and you tape everything and TiVo everything and record everything. You just TV was random. TV was random. There was TV and then there was a commercial and then things happened. Suddenly there was a promo for something and you had no idea when things were going to happen. And I remember the first time I saw it was a promo during that because they're watching. Oh well, here's the show. Okay, and I had my metal TV dinner tray with my Swanson's.
Your Swanson's
turkey
dinner.
Hungry
I had
man
many of those.
turkey dinner.
It's a damn good dinner.
Pull the foil back over the little cranberry cobbler thing in the corner. And I was and I my Diet Dr Pepper, and I flipped the tray. I almost lost the whole dinner because I almost knocked over the whole tray in excitement, because I saw myself on television. I'd seen myself on a juvenile jury when I was 8. Not the same. All of a sudden, just suddenly, out of nowhere, with no announcement, I was running around in a yellow dress and screaming at people, and I was, what is happening? And it was wild to, seeing the show. It's like, okay, and these are all now people I've met, and so this is the lead up, and this is it. And I'm trying to remember, didn't they shoot them out of order? It's all very confusing.
I think
they did. I think they shot.
I think my understanding was that they shot Country Girls.
They shot it first because they were barely finished building the ding dang sets, and then they shot Harvest Friends right after, and then went, well, this is the opening, Harvest. What happened goes. But it was very. But yes, indeed, absolutely, we watched it. And
wait, so they shot Country Girls first,
before
they did Harvest,
which is really it was all very confusing.
They flipped the release dates of the 2 episodes, and look, that's not uncommon to shoot something.
Totally
I think Little House, when it got into its groove, the shows aired in the order that they were produced, but I think in that first week, my understanding is that a decision was made to introduce the series with Harvest of Friends, and really, I think it was a wonderful introduction to the series
because it totally focused on the family.
It established where we were, the major players in the community, all of that.
Well, that's the thing that struck me so much about Harvest of Friends. It sets up the power of community so beautifully. Yeah. And it really struck me when I was, I've seen it a million times, but it really struck me this last time of how important that is to the human experience, right?
Yeah.
Like having community, Harvest of Friends, literally. And the way that was set up in that first episode was just so beautifully well done.
Yeah, and I think you
moving.
Now, Pamela, did you see it on? Did you see it on the air at that point, or you discovered You discovered Little House late.
I wasn't born yet.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I hate you! Shut up! Sorry. Yeah, I guess that's
proud
true. I
Gen
should have
Xer,
known
but
that.
yeah,
'Cause
wasn't-
you're only 32.
Yeah. Ooh, I wish. No. So again, everything I experienced was on Channel 11 WPIX
Okay.
in New York City, tri-state area at 5 p.m.
Sure.
Mondays through Fridays every day.
Right, got it.
But I do remember watching the final blow up the town episode actually on primetime TV and being so psyched that it was like the first time I was watching actually in primetime TV and being utterly devastated that they were blowing up the town. But we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, no, let's talk about
thing.
So
wee thing.
Some things right away off the bat as you step into this world. I mean, I love that Michael established the voiceover, the Laura voiceover right away. If I Had a Remembrance Book was a wonderful way. It clearly just immediately established this was her story. Michael was the star, but this was Laura's story.
Well, it is. I mean, it's her through her eyes, but even then, it is also the episode that established that when he fell out of that tree and he hurt himself, did he break a leg? Did he break an arm? No, he did not. Broke a rib, shirt came off, ace bandage, Doc Baker, boom. And it did. It established right away.
So you're jumping forward in the outline. We were
I'm
going
sorry.
we were going to get
Yeah,
there.
we have that
Power of the
specifically
text.
shirtless in the outline.
Yes, we were going to talk about. We will. We
I
will.
never know
I
if
want
we're
to start
really
with
gonna
like,
go for those.
did it like
Laura,
the first time we saw Plum Creek?
watching it.
I just want to start. The first time we saw Plum Creek, did anyone have any inkling? I mean, no one would have, of course, because it looked so real that this creek was turned on with a spigot.
Did you think it was real?
Never. No. I mean, everything about this town is real, 1,000% real. Finding out that it's not real is actually very devastating. No, it absolutely.
I knew it wasn't
believed
real.
it, and also that.
Well, of course you knew.
You guys knew, but for us, no. This was just like.
Well, we didn't all know. Charlotte Stewart didn't know. Charlotte Stewart told me, like,
she
she said,
didn't?
"What do you mean it's
Well,
not real?"
Melissa certainly didn't know the creek wasn't real.
I knew the creek wasn't real, and I knew the mill was.
See, but
I
you're
knew
so
it.
world wise.
Yeah, you're Hollywood. You got it. Yeah.
So, did you believe that the saw? This was
Yes.
the first time you
Every
see
question you're
Pa
about to ask
in
me is
the
a yes.
in the mill.
Oh no!
Cutting a piece of wood, and you hear that. You hear the electric saw blade turning, and I'm just wondering how many people believe that this saw was driven by the water wheel.
Dear Lord.
Me.
But that's some special gearing that would have taken to make that
You
saw
could
spin
have.
that way.
You could have, because the point of a mill is that you take the whole, you got your levers, you got your big old wheel, and then you transfer it to a little tiny wheel which spins very powerfully. So in theory, that is the whole point of mills. You could have made a hell of a saw go, and I was learning about that in junior high at the time, so I knew it was possible, just that it wasn't happening.
All right. How about the steam whistle that blew when it was time for Pa to take a break? He's working for Liam O'Neill, the villain of that, who we never saw again.
Gone.
Where do they all go? Where is this other dimension that everybody's on for one episode that they go, wait?
But this was an important character in this episode, and surrounded by so much goodness. So you have Carl Hansen and Doc Baker and Reverend Alden, and the Olsons are, Mr. Olson's a good guy, but clearly Mrs. Olson's going to be a problem.
She's terrible even then.
But Liam O'Neill is evil. I mean, you can see it. This is really a bad guy.
Going to take everything from the starving family with children, and the children, little tiny girls, are lifting the grain sacks, and he's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, well, that's okay then.
Well,
Are they done yet?
There's something else. The first time we saw a wagon drive up to the feed and seed, and someone offloaded a bag that looked like it weighed about 3 pounds. Now, there should have been like a 70. I'm sort of fixated on this stuff.
Well, I know we've had this conversation before about things being properly
Yes.
Oh my God, we were doing that
real.
at the event, at the
Yes.
dinner. You're like, now, do you put bricks in the thing? Do you put actual things in the thing? Do you need to have the actual eggs in the basket, or you can have a thing that weighs the same? How is an actor doing? And it's weird, because in theory, you should be able to pick up a completely empty suitcase and make it look like it's full. I have done it. It's nice if we threw like a book or two in it, give me a little.
Exactly.
But I have picked up an empty suitcase and went, "Ooh, crap! We're working with an empty suitcase. Okay, empty suitcase. Hang on a minute. It's very heavy.
Right.
But yes,
the 5-pound grain of sack is supposed to, make the men just look super.
Well,
and those didn't weigh. They didn't even weigh 5 pounds.
I bet not.
No, they were like pillows. It was like stuffing. There wasn't like it was.
Yeah. So these are little things.
There's nothing in there.
These are little things that were done that that maybe could have thrown the authenticity off, but I think the atmosphere was so wonderfully created that. Look,
it was.
We're watching it more. We've all watched these things for the 100th time or more. So we see things that we wouldn't have seen. That first time you would not have noticed that the grain sack flipped like a pillow.
Melissa Sue, they moved because they were small, so the grain, even if they're pillows, they're bigger than they are. They made them look pretty heavy. I got to hand it to them because Melissa Gilbert's about yay big, and she's like, I'm going to pretend that this is the heaviest pillow I've ever dragged across the floor because that thing didn't weigh. They were right up there with Star Trek styrofoam rocks. Seriously, and
absolutely.
But those girls, they were sweating, so I'm like, yeah, good on you, because I know there was nothing in there.
Can I tell you something that I did notice this time around? That I was
What's
like,
that?
oh no! At the very end, when they all come and help, carry the grains of seed.
Yes.
The first person that does it is the blacksmith. Blacksmith, who, we know 9 seasons later did a terrible, terrible thing. But every time I see that damn blacksmith, I'm like, oh no, God, no.
See, he was lulling everyone in the community into a false sense of security. That's what they do. That's what they do, so they can prey on it.
Let's not get people fixated on that now.
But see,
that
the
can ruin
blacksmith,
so much fantasy when you have this.
He was
someone's lurking.
trying to pass as a kind person who would carry grain.
That's right.
Terrible.
That's right, and we know that now. Horrible.
Did you believe that Pa? I was watching. I was struck by the montage of watching Pa build the house by lamplight.
We love a montage. Yes.
Yes.
We did great. We had a lot of montages on the show. We were big on montages.
Well, you're collapsing time, and they wanted to build that house and make it come together very quickly. Part of that is Pa burning the midnight oil.
Literally.
Yes, literally burning the midnight oil, building that house.
Was that part that was just like shot indoors, wasn't it?
I'm sorry?
Was that part shot indoors?
Oh, of course.
Because the night scenes, because we had the whole...
Of course.
Our little house and our barn on stage. Yeah, we had our interior scenes, but we had a full exterior little house and barn with like dirt and everything on the soundstage, and we'd even bring in horses and wagons for all that snow.
On the soundstage?
Oh, how do you think?
Soundstage,
Got to bury it in snow somehow.
Sure.
Right.
So got to bury it in snow. Got to be there in the dark. That's
Yeah, exactly. No, I certainly remember driving the carriage up to the little house, or driving the buckboard up to the little house with the horse hitched. So they brought the horses in for those kinds of scenes.
Wow.
But this was but we're watching Pa build by lamplight. What I loved, when they all walked into the little house the first time, it looked to me, it was so fresh, it looked like our set at Simi Valley.
It truly did.
It was
It
so
made you realize
clean.
how amazing those interiors are.
Yeah.
Well, that's what freaked out Karen and Melissa when they walked into it. They're like, it's exactly, because it was exactly like the set.
Yeah. No, it was terrific. One of my favorite all-time lines was obviously said in Harvest of Friends. I think it's a defining line for Little House. Home is the nicest word there is. That Melissa says, credited always to Laura Ingalls Wilder. No, I think
see
not.
One more freaking pillow. I see the pillows and the needle point and the things. And it said, Laura Ingalls Wilder, home is in the... I was like correcting people at autograph events, going, you know that this bag... It's not Laura Ingalls Wilder. It's really nice.
It's Michael Landon.
It's Melissa Gilbert. It's Michael Landon or whichever scriptwriter was credited. That way.
It was John Dugan.
It was John Dugan. John Dugan
who
said,
wrote wonderful
It's the
episodes.
nicest word there is. John Dugan.
Yeah, but
I think it's Michael who wrote it. I'm thinking that Michael, because he rewrote.
That's the sort of thing he put in.
Absolutely.
That's the sort of thing he'd put in.
Yeah.
But it's not Laura Ingalls Wilder, sadly. She said a lot of stuff like it. She didn't say that.
Sorry, we're just killing dreams
It's
today.
awful. We're awful, terrible people.
And then when you rode into Walnut Grove for the first time, it was so stark. when I arrived 5 years later, Walnut Grove, because of the vegetation, all that was really wonderfully developed. It was a very rich environment. When you see it as it was first built, it was very, very simple. And I have there are a few pictures of Walnut Grove under construction.
Oh,
well, here you go.
Well, there's no bank, there was no hotel, we added.
Here's the mercantile being built, the church being built.
I remember that.
And these are Kent McCrae's pictures that he took during the construction of Walnut Grove.
Is it weird for you to see the cars as a fan? Is it weird for you to see the cars?
That part isn't weird, but what is going through my mind as I'm seeing these pictures, and even when I watched the episode, after being there in real life at the ranch, and I urge people, if you are in California, if you're in the LA area, please do the Simi Valley bus tour, because
we've got one coming this Saturday.
This Saturday.
I'm going.
It's really wild to see it and go, oh, I was there, and know what it feels like, know what it actually looks like when you're standing there, and that's what when in the episode when they first show the panoramic of the town. It was an awesome sort of sense memory for me personally, being like, I was there. I was there. I saw that. Yeah. And that's the real magic of that bus tour, of being able to get that experience.
Oh, I think what you've just said, really what we were able to put together with the limits of what we were able to drop into the space, it really did feel more like what it was in the very beginning. Because the town didn't have any of that development that had happened over with trees and reeds in the mill stream and all of that. It was so lush when I first arrived, and it was so simple in the beginning.
That's not because Walnut Grove was supposed to be a new town. That's because
it was new
the
town.
builders of the show had literally built it.
Just
we
finished
hadn't
it.
grown yet.
Right. Exactly.
That was it.
So you need to take us to a break, Pamela, because we'll come back.
Okay, after this message from visitsimivalley.com, we'll be back with more on the 50th anniversary of the airing of Harvest of Friends.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Okay, we're back. Okay, so what did critics think of the premiere of Little House on the Prairie?
I think it was a mixed response. So I just found a review from Gary Deeb of the Chicago Tribune, who gave our favorite show a scathing review.
It's really bad.
Yeah, calling the debut episode a meatless sausage of cloying sweetness, padded dialogue, and soap opera background music.
Oof.
I think he caught it really, really well. I mean,
people hated it.
But he spun it
whose
negatively.
mother didn't love him, or something
there you
like
go.
that.
Exactly.
But this was a common problem. We say we were always the show of the people. People loved it. Critics, God, they hated us. They just hated us. Every now and then we get a review where they'd say it was okay, but this lovely, soft children's show, the heck. They all said treacle and I'm going to get diabetes, and they hated it. I love what Mad Magazine did with Little House Oh So Dreary. That was...
What did they do?
We were Little House Oh So Dreary. It was hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. But that was the attitude.
Did a great
that it was,
job with those things.
We were dumb and boring, and the critics hated us, and the joke used to be, no one in LA or New York watches Little House or admits to watching Little House. Everybody in between was glued to the screen. And then people would say, I never watched that show. And then 5 minutes later, they're quoting the episodes. And I'm like, you liar. You liar. You're watching it.
Our numbers...
The cynicism is so upsetting.
Our numbers in New York were absolutely huge.
But they pulled the blinds. They pulled the blinds and told their friends.
Maybe they were hiding.
I never watched that terrible show. Oh my God, the raccoon.
Well,
I mean,
like
liars.
like I said in the live last week, I think I went through my entire life until I was about 20 years old before anyone knew I watched Little House on the Prairie.
What?
It was not talked about.
No, it's a
you don't
dark
talk about it.
secret.
And I didn't know anyone else watched it.
Bonnet Heads Anonymous.
Yeah.
Bonnet Heads Anonymous.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Oh, here.
Oh my God, he found it.
Little House. So dreary. Look at that with Doc
Hilarious.
Baker and there's Reverend Alden and
illustration.
I really like the drawing of me. I'm not in that one. I'm on the next page.
Well, of course you do.
Well, no, because they really did a good job. They caught my eyebrows. It was amazing. I was very impressed. So, and you're not hot till you're in Mad Magazine.
I think that's
you haven't made
very,
it till
very
so
cool
we did make it
to be
But the response was they were like, ew. People were like, and my friends at school thought it was lame.
Did you think, Alison, were you worried then about it after it premiered? Did you think like, oof, I don't know how long this is going to last? Or did you think, oh no, this is a hit?
No. Well, I wasn't sure it was a hit. First of all, I was thrilled. But I mean, I'd signed a contract, so I knew I had a certain number of episodes I was going to do whether this thing tanked or not. And I was like, food, yay. We'll have money. We didn't have any money. My father is famous for saying, who the hell's going to watch this thing? It won't last 6 months. What are these people, crazy? He absolutely said it would be barely, you will make it through the season. It's good. Those episodes you signed for are pay to play. It's good because no one's shooting this. You won't make it. It was like, this thing will tank.
So how did he come around on it? Because your dad was pretty, your dad was pretty savvy about these things. So how did they come around on it? Or did he?
By the third year, he said, soon you're going to be asking, who do I have to get off this show? And I was like, and that's when towards the end, when he said, do you really want to sign for another several years because you're going to wind up like Miss Kitty on Gunsmoke? And I was like, oh, God, scare me.
There are worse fates in the world.
It'd be Miss Kitty on Gunsmoke. That was pretty good. Yeah. But we were
give me some of that Bonanza money.
Astounded that it turned out to be a hit. Yeah. I just figured, well, if they think it's sappy, wait till I show up, that'll help. I don't know. But my friends at school thought it was lame. Yeah. Absolutely. I was told, why can't you be on Joni Loves Chachi or a good show like that? They all,
Mindy.
Well, because we all live near Paramount. The school was down the street from Paramount, Bancroft Junior High. Everybody who was a ritual would go to the tapings of things like Happy Days and all these shows. They would go to the tapings. So they're like, we can't come see you tape. You're not through camera, so why? What's the point?
Yeah.
And we watch all these.
There's no funds in there.
Yeah, and there's no laugh track, and we watch all these shows, and you're on what? And I guess the two biggest references in my yearbook when it got signed were either Little Mouse on the Prairie or Little House on the Ferry, or the things.
Little Fairy on the Prairie.
A Little Fairy on the Prairie. This was all over my yearbook in school. People thought it was really dorky to be on that.
Here's my theory. One of my theories about why it was successful is that in the beginning, despite the fact that critics didn't like it, but I think at that point, and look, we're at this point on steroids now, but coming off of Watergate and all of that, America was so beaten up by
jaded
by disappointment and shock that this is what our country had become. And this, we're thick into that now, where we're looking at things in a very, we're pretty cynical now. But at that point, it was fresh. That was new for us at that point.
But that's also why a show like Ted Lasso did so well.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Nice. People doing the right thing and being nice.
Exactly right. Exactly
we needed that. We needed that.
Oh, and in 1974, Little House was one of those shows that America really needed.
And nobody had any money because we had a huge recession, which, like I said, the books came out in the Depression. Show comes out in the recession. They were rationing gas. You couldn't buy meat. There was no food. It was ridiculous. And I said, I had 70 for my family. A bunch of starving actors. My dad had just started his own company. We didn't have a lot of money. And so we would watch a show, and those jokes, when Paul would say, what? A slate pencil is 2 pennies now. How is anyone supposed to afford that with this inflation?
I love that.
And people would scream at home. People go, oh, boy, do I know it. Slate pencil. Well, at our house, we laughed because we went, the inflation. And it was hilarious. I mean, my parents actually started calling each other Ma and Pa after the show started. They thought they go, oh, Ma, and scream with laughter. Yeah. But that was the thing. Nobody had any money. And then here I was on the show, and it's so we can go grocery shopping. And it was kind of this hilarious thing that we were making ends meet at that time. And then here were these people on the prairie were like, oh, well, and then my father, who grew up on a farm, was like going, I can't watch this. I did this. I can't. This is all too close to home. But it hit a nerve.
What also kills me about these critics saying like how saccharine it was is that, there's a difference between saccharine and sort of grounded, real, wholesome, right? Like, listen, we've seen saccharine shows and they are gross. Like it's too much. It's too sugary and it's not realistic. That kind of saccharine.
Yeah.
I feel like Little House had the tone that it was sweet and it was wholesome and it was good, but I felt like it never went into that land of over the top, sugary, sweet cotton candy.
Well, that's why Alison was there.
I think it resonated.
Well, there was a realism to even the sweets. My father, one of the most cynical human beings ever to walk the planet, said, I hate fake sentimentality, but then there's real sentimentality. Sometimes things are just sentimental. This is sentimental. It's not fake sentimentality. It's really sentimental. If you don't like that sort of thing, you're going to throw up. But it's not fake sentimentality. That's horrible. Nobody can sit through that. And there was a difference.
Half of the time, the emotion came in silence, and it was just listening to the music that told you everything you needed to know.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't even the dialogue that was. There was nothing saccharine about it. I think exactly what you said, Alison, or what your dad said.
Well, and let's not forget, and I, because Pamela, I know this was a huge attraction for you. We can't forget, Pa's bare chest.
Yes. And this was the first time.
For all the women of the world and some men too. Yes. I mean, listen. Pa is definitely a father figure. He, especially as a little kid, it's not like
Yeah.
It didn't
did
go
not have
into
those
that
thoughts
territory,
much,
right? He was always Pa. However, it was undeniable looking at this man as the specimen that he was, which was all encompassing of not just masculine, but also he cried.
Yeah.
I say this in Bonnet Heads Anonymous, right? Like he showed me how to be strong, but that you could also cry and also play a musical instrument. And he
did he really show you could play a musical instrument?
Not very well.
He did it with a lot. I would say what Pa
3
played.
inches away.
Michael played the fiddle, or did that with a lot of gusto, and give him a lot of. There were no apologies.
That was some nerve because he was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even holding it correctly.
But it doesn't matter.
His
It didn't
fingers
matter.
would literally be 2 inches away from the strings. It was so very obvious. But who cares? He's Michael Landon.
But it was
But
for
yes,
little
no.
girls.
And so when he had the peck moments, the broken rib moments, it was more like, oh my God, like it was literally like looking at a specimen of a man. Do you know what I mean? And as a kid, it was not a sexualized thing. As a grown up, sure, go ahead, have fun with that. There's Pa playing. I think his finger, it might be touching the bow.
They're not. They're just not even. It's so bad.
Why didn't he take a violin lesson or two?
He was busy.
He didn't really have time. With all the things he was doing,
I don't have time to learn
writing,
violin.
directing, producing, starring in, having his own family at home, I think he probably, I think Michael was very pragmatic. He knew that there were things that he could control and there are things that he wasn't going to allow himself to be bogged down by. And that was one of those things.
He knew David Rose and his orchestra
David
were
Rose
gonna
was going to make
fix
it sound wonderful.
They did what? But like for little girls, there's little girls who will say, my father is the best looking man in the world, And so for little kids, it was like that. My father is the most handsome man ever. In this case, he was.
Right.
And
yes, right, exactly.
There was something that, early on, I remember hearing our largest viewer group is women 40 plus. And I know that Michael went, all the girls who grew up with a crush on little Joes, teenagers who all read the books as children. Sure. And now they're how old and they have families and kids of their own. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey kids, want to watch mommy's favorite show? It was, and the kids are like, he's so handsome. Yes, he is.
But also the way he was as a father, the way he was as a husband, the way he was vulnerable, the way he was strong. It just really was. it's so rare you see that in a man, and especially a man on television.
And he'd be slightly naughty with the giggling thing. Ma was like, "Now, Charles,"
You know, one of the things that was, I think, also powerful beyond the, Michael's bare chest and the town and all that. I think he established also in that episode this dynamic between Ma and Pa. Established that that this was a healthy relationship, and that they had conflict over things. They didn't always agree. And, Pa out plowing the field on Sunday, Ma was very upset.
Sacrilege.
She just listened to Reverend Alden give a little sermon about people not being in church on Sunday, and it's important to be there.
Reverend Alden was a little judgy this episode. It was surprising, actually.
Quite nice. Well, then Ma tries to stop when he says, "I'm going to go back to work in obviously horrible physical condition." She goes, "No, you're going to hurt yourself. This is crazy. Don't do it."
Right.
And so, she tries to stop him from doing crazy things.
That's right. And it shows that, okay, she may not have agreed with the decision to be plowing on Sunday, but when he couldn't do the work, she was prepared to step up and do what was necessary for the family to succeed. And I think that was a wonderful message about family resilience and the girls. We want to help too. We'll do what we can do. I mean, I think it established all of that wonderfully, that people could look at in a time of struggle with inflation and coming off of Watergate and all of that. And you could feel, here's some normalcy. Here's something we can aspire to. And yes, it was romanticized. No question about that. But at the core, there's something that's really positive and healthy and aspirational in all this. And I think that's what people get down on.
And the simplest thing that struck me also was, and talk about normalcy, which is, a scene where Pa opens the door, he's coming home, and they're sitting around the table eating dinner. You know what I mean? Like something so normal as that, but it's very special. And it does show the family dynamic of being all together and being a part of a team.
Well, and
you know what else was very strong in this episode? Doc Baker and Carl Hansen.
I love that dynamic. Yeah, they established that
were
friendship.
So fabulous.
Yeah.
And they're giving each other a hard time. I love that whole thing.
You're 3 minutes early.
Clock. No, your clock. My clock
you old coot, and all of that.
It's a really charming.
Yeah, I mean, established that this was a friendly, good place. This was a place of decent people,
and these were real
other than
people.
Liam O'Neill, everyone was pretty good and decent.
But it made them real, that they ragged on each other and gave each other a hard time. And that's the thing. It's like the saccharin thing. It's like, no, they weren't all saying, "Oh, good day, brother." So no, they were like, your watch is terrible. They were like normal people.
Yes.
They complained about their jobs and went about their lives.
Exactly.
Was that do you think that steam? I don't think that steam whistle in the mill was ever used again.
I would be like, where did that come from?
Where did it go?
How did that work?
I thought
what
it did whistle
that?
again. I thought it whistled again, but I don't think it was ever real. I think that was totally studio sound.
Of course.
I think just the little thing in the thing, they pulled a string and it went click.
There was smoke.
It was open.
There was
the
steam
that made it, and then they made the thing. Woo! Yeah. I don't think it did a darn thing. I think somebody had a little steam thing under it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I guess they did it. I guess the town wouldn't have needed a bell if there was a loud steam whistle,
but then
because Laura could hear it from their house,
which is insane because you've been there and you know how far away that is, and that's completely impossible.
Yeah, that's if you've been to Big Sky, it's like a 2 mile.
Y'all ain't hearing no bells, whistles, or nothing from that far over the hill.
Yeah, the walkie-talkies don't work between Walnut Grove and the little house.
Right. You can't even make a cell phone call.
You can't make a cell phone call there.
You're not going to hear a whistle.
Yeah, you're not hearing a whistle.
And the sound just goes woo over the hills. It just carries, it's just gone. It's just
yeah. No, absolutely. I think we could go on and on about this, but I think what I would say as we prepare to say goodbye on this 50th anniversary celebration episode of Harvest of Friends.
Yeah,
it started something that was so special and has become iconic, and we are all so grateful to have had the opportunity to touch this and be part of it. And it all started with Harvest of Friends and established this wonderful atmosphere of family and community helping each other, and that was the message. And Laura's voiceover, and we're into this world that's going to be a safe place to come and visit week after week after week. And for 50 years, people have been coming to Walnut Grove
still
for a safe place. Still.
What an incredible and extraordinary first episode. It established everything until episode 2 when Nellie.
Well, we're going to talk about that next week. Yes, we're talking about that next week. I think you need to take us out.
Yes, I'm going to take us
Pamela,
out. Yeah.
But thank you all for joining us for this episode. And there's so much we could talk about, but we're going to resist and move on. Pamela.
That's our show for this week, everybody. Please, tonight, which is September 11th, so tomorrow this drops September 12th, but tonight we're doing our Q&A with Patreon. It will be on Patreon tomorrow, so if you miss it tonight, don't worry about it. We will be continuing to do these Q&As too, so this is not the only one. You'll get your shot if you can't join us this time. And we're really excited to do it. If you're out in the Simi Valley area on Saturday, September, is that September 14th?
Yes.
Join members.
Yes.
Are you both going to
Yes.
be gang?
Absolutely.
Are you riding a bus?
Allison,
Are you riding
yes,
a bus?
I
I'm riding
am.
a bus. I'm
Yes,
doing
I
one of
am.
the tours. I'm doing one of the tours. Just one.
The
Are you
Big
doing one or
Sky
two?
Movie Ranch tour. I suggest people go
I'm
do
doing
it
at least
'cause it's
one.
truly-
Oh, he's doing one. Okay.
You're doing one? Okay, good,
We're
good,
doing
good.
one.
Yeah.
And follow us on, socials, Little House 50 Podcast, littlehouse50podcast.com. We're all there. We read your stuff and your comments. Thank you for participating. And I think it's time for Bob to go get the wig.
Get the wig, Bob.
Get the wig.
And let's just fly.